All right. Hey, everybody. How we doing tonight? Welcome to the show. Our standard time, standard place, standard night. Welcome, welcome. We're excited to have you all here. We got a few people in the audience live tonight. We'll have a few more coming in. Say hey to Twisted. Little Twisted's already jumped on and said, hey, she's here. So welcome, Little Twisted. Hey to everybody in our listening audience that's going to be listening in the future on one of our various platforms that we're hosted on somewhere around the world. You guys can hear us pretty much anywhere. So we always want to welcome you. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bigfoot Outlaw. You can catch us live on Thursdays. Check out all the other podcasts that we have going on our channel. It's lots of good stuff. Make sure you give a shout out if you're here live with us in the audience tonight. We got a few people here. Well, last week we had a wonderful guest on, our anonymous guest, talking about her experiences growing up in Vermont in the woods. Absolutely fascinating stuff. If you guys didn't catch that yet, definitely go back and listen to it. We are spared again this week of having to hear me talk the whole time. We got another wonderful guest on. We have researcher Marie Dumont on tonight. I'm excited. Fabulous researcher out of Florida. I run into her at a few different places. We've been friends for a while now. I ran into her in Gatlinburg, in South Florida, North Florida. We kind of get around a little bit. So we will go ahead and bring Marie on, and she can say hey and tell us a little bit about herself. Hello, hello.
Hello, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing tonight?
Good. Very good.
Right. What's the weather up there doing?
Hot.
Yeah.
Hot. Hot.
Same down here, a couple hours north of me, and it doesn't make that much difference when you're down here in Florida, does it?
Yeah, where are you at? Are you Fort Myers, Naples?
Just north of Fort Myers. I'm Charlotte County.
Okay.
So just north of Fort Myers a touch.
Yeah.
Hot enough. Hot enough. Cryptid Cowboy, thanks for joining us, buddy. Ain't seen you in a while.
Hey.
I'm surprised. We got 3 or 4 times the amount of people tonight. It's kind of a slow night tonight. I was producing another show earlier tonight for one of our other podcasters, and it was the same way. It was about maybe a third of the people she normally has on her show live. But that's okay because we reach a huge audience on all of our platforms. We're on all kinds of streaming platforms, and then Grizz got us all hooked up in all kinds of places. So they still come and see us. So Marie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us your quick bio, and then we'll get into what got you in this crazy stuff.
Okay. Well, my name is Marie Dumont, and I am the founder of the Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group. And we're located in the Tampa area, which is, kind of like midway through the state. Right, like definitely in the central area. And so I've been doing Bigfoot and Skunk Ape research now for about 6.5 years. And what got me started in it was I was on a campout with some friends, a bunch of us. There was like 15 of us. We went to the Ocala National Forest for a one-night campout. And so what happened was it was the coldest night of the year. It was like in January. And me and my friend Leroy, we were standing off to the side of the, where the people were. And we were talking to some guy or whatever. And sure enough, at about 1:30 in the morning, there was this huge vocalization, this huge, long, lengthy, drawn out, whoa, that kind of, just long. It took something with incredible lung capacity to be able to do something like that. There was only one call. That's it. And we just looked at each other. We're like, oh, my God. And I was like, oh, my God. Because I was kind of like, I don't know. But that's what got me hooked on Bigfoot research. I'm like, oh, my God, they do exist. I'm like, wow, I want to be the one to prove that we have them in Florida. So that's
Right.
our goal. And ever since then, yeah, put together a research team, and we are out. Somebody is out in the field every single weekend, and we have been for over 6 years. And, you know, it's usually me. I'm usually the one that's always out there because I have no life. So, you know, that's what I do. And I've always done that. So, of course, I mean, I've had like, you know, seen or experienced everything you can or found everything you possibly can. But I've never had a sighting, a true sighting.
Okay.
Not yet. But that's part of the reason why I'm out all the time is hopefully I'll be at the right place at the right time someday. And you know, he'll walk out in front of me or stand there or something like that. So
Sure, and that's pretty much what it is, isn't it? Just right place, right time to have something happen.
Absolutely. So yeah, we have our specific areas we like to research at, you know. Not that there's that much around Tampa, but there are some areas outside of Tampa. And then, of course, you've got the Green Swamp, which is in Lakeland, and Cold Creek. And those are always great areas. There's lots of sightings in the Green Swamp. And even in the Cold Creek, outside of Tampa. 301, which is a road that I drive when I go to the Green Swamp. I have to take 301. Which goes past Hillsborough State Park. And two of the members in my group have seen a whitish colored Bigfoot right on the side of the road in the ditch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so one day I was out at one of the parks outside of Tampa. And somebody left a little tiny Bigfoot figurine this big on my car. On my car. And I'm like, what the heck is this? Truck pulls up, and it was a park ranger. And he's like, I saw your Bigfoot sticker on the back of your car. I thought you'd like this. So we ended up, you know, talking to him about Bigfoot and stuff.
Nice.
And he's heard 2 reports of that same whitish colored Bigfoot around that.
Nice.
Area. So I said, well, I got 2 more for you. So there's been at least 4 sightings of this whitish, grayish colored Bigfoot. You know, whether it's an albino or it could be an elder, right? Where they're turning grayish, you know. So, you know, we don't know, but that's pretty interesting. And
that is because we hear about them, but they're not very common. You know, the white ones, the martominids, as Lauren Coleman would call them, they're not very common at all. They're pretty unique. So getting 4 reports in one area, I mean, that's pretty special.
Yes, yes, and it's always
Rachel,
in the ditch.
Rachel says she's in the Hillsborough River State Park pretty frequently.
Yep, that's where it was at. Keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open.
Awesome. Yeah, I personally think the whiter color has more to do with old age than albinism. Simply because I haven't yet to come across any like juvenile reports or smaller reports of animals that were pure white. They always seem to be like fully grown.
Yeah.
You know, and the one detailed story I got, it was an elderly one. It was part of a family clan. It appeared to be an older one and then a male, female, and a kid. And the older one was white. And according to the guy putting out the story, they seemed to take care of that one. Like they would bring it food and then make sure it was taken care of. And they normally stayed in the shelter and stayed hidden. And so I lean towards it's more likely old age than it is albinism. But obviously albinism is definitely possible in primates. So
Yes.
It could be a case of both. It definitely could.
Yes. Definitely. So that's pretty interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about Jennings State Forest.
Yeah.
And so last February, my team and I were invited to go out with Mike Famelot. He's a researcher in New Jersey, but he used to live in Florida. And he moved
he's been on our show a couple times.
Yes. And
Mike's a good buddy of mine.
Good friends of ours. And so he's like, hey, I'm going to Jennings. You guys want to come? And I'm like, Jennings? I haven't even heard of the place. I knew nothing about the place. And we're like, yeah, sure. Camp out. Let's go. Let's go do some research, hang out, for a long weekend. So it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So what happened was it had lightly rained when we got there. And so we're just hanging around our area, and there's some security people, volunteers that drive around the campsite area to make sure everything's okay. And so we became friends with them, and they're like, hey, we'll take you somewhere. And we're like, okay. And so it was like, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night, 10:30, 11 o'clock. So they take us to this area. And it was like a intersection where there was a main road. Where was it? Yeah, that was a cold weekend, wasn't it, Chris? Yes. So there's this intersection, and it's a forest road. It looked like it had been tilled. It was kind of chunky. It was a little more looser than normal. But of course, it's sure sand, But it's more compacted. It had rained, like I said, a little bit before we got there. So we get out of the car. We're just looking. I looked to the right down the dirt road, and it was just open. It just looked boring to me. And I looked to the left, and it looked dark and creepy, and there was canopies of trees, and I'm like, that's where I'm going. So I had a flashlight, and I start walking down the road, and I'm looking, and Ruby is coming up behind me, and I'm like, this looks like a footprint. What? Where's the next one? Oh, the next one's over there. Okay, where's the next one? It's over there. Well, it ended up that I found a trackway, a 1/4-mile trackway of prints.
Nice.
And the prints were 16 inches long, and there was a 54-inch stride between each step.
Okay.
That's big.
Now, I want to point out, audience, did you guys hear how she did that? That's what a researcher does. We don't go, oh, look, there's a footprint, and be done. Right? Where's the next one? Where is that trackway coming from? Where is it leading to? If you're a real researcher, that's the kind of stuff that we look for. Mm-hmm. Because a single footprint is cool. I've never found one. I can't wait till I get to see one. Mm-hmm. But a trackway gives you information. Mm-hmm. And when you measure the stride, how are you measuring that?
It's from what? Is it heel to heel, or is it I can't remember. It was a 54-inch stride, and so that's a human stride is typically 2.5 feet, or stride. So with a 54-inch stride, that's
right.
That's
so generally usually it's either heel to heel or toe to toe. Usually it's heel to heel.
Yeah.
And it's the same foot. So if you're measuring heel to heel on a right foot, or heel to heel on a left foot, and so that gives you your stride. Yeah. And so like you said, that the average human, we're looking around 24, to 30. 54, you're talking more than twice that, in that region. Yes. So that is absolutely huge.
Yes, so 16-inch prints, right? So, but it was dark, we couldn't see. It'd been really hard to look for more. So we were like, okay, let's just mark the, you know, 2 of the prints. We'll come back in the morning and we'll look at it during the day, right?
Right.
And but I took, at the time I found them, we took pictures, we did 3D scans, we did videos, we did measurements, we did every possible thing that we could, everything. And so, but the print, like I said, it had been rained on, so it was kind of a little pitted, but you could see a big toe,
Right.
very large big toe, like larger than a human's big toe. It really gigantic, sticking, you know, stands out.
Right.
So, but it was really dark in that area, and I just kind of felt like maybe something was watching. I don't know. I just had
that
feeling, you know. So we go back to the campground, and so Ruby and I are staying at campsite 8, and we were car camping. Her and I.
Okay.
Our cars were about 15 feet apart from each other, and the next campsite over was where Chris and Mike and Kaylin were in tents.
Okay.
So we were quite a distance away from each other. These campgrounds are really big. So I'm in my car, I'm trying to sleep, and I can't typically sleep on the first night wherever I go. So I'm just lying there and I'm trying to sleep, but of course I'm wide awake. My windows are shaded, you know, I have them covered and everything. So it's pitch black. You couldn't see outside if you tried, you know.
Right.
That campground is really dark. It's primitive. And so I'm guessing it was around 3, 4 in the morning. I started to hear heavy bipedal footsteps next to my car. And it was like, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, what the heck is that? It was walking back and forth along the driver's side of my car. Back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm thinking, is it Ruby? Did she get out of her car? Why is she walking so loud? You know, and why is she walking next to my car? And I'm just in total denial. I'm just like trying to make, you know, oh, it's got to be Ruby, right? So then it pushed the back of my car. It pushed the tailgate where I was at. It boom. I was like, whoa. I'm like, oh my God. Again, I'm thinking, why is Ruby pushing my car? It wasn't making sense, but I was like, you know, I'm trying to logically come up with possible reasons, you know, ideas of what it was. I know doggone well what it was, but I was total denial. So then, so basically, did it see me? Did it see us with the footprints and it followed us back to the campground? I don't know. Don't know. So in the morning, I get out of my car and I walk over to Chris and Mike's campsite. And Mike comes out of his tent with Kaylin, and he was like, man, we didn't sleep that great. Kaylin heard footsteps, and then he told his dad, he told Mike, and Mike heard it too. There was something walking around their tent. So it's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Validation. Yeah. Oh my God. He walked around alongside my car and pushed my car when I was in it. It didn't bother their tent, but they heard it walking around, and then it disappeared. Right. So that was super cool.
And that's very cool. get any tracks or anything from that? Did it leave anything behind?
No, because in the campground, the substrate was hard as a rock, and it was covered in pine needles. So
Gotcha.
it's quiet, very quiet to walk on, but it was just hard as a rock. So after breakfast, we go back to where I found the trackway, and that's where we could really see it better, and we could follow. Okay, there's another print, there's another one, but it's sugar sand, so the sand collapses on itself, because it's basically kind of loose. Now, the original print I found was much clearer. But as you started walking down that road, it got drier and looser for some reason.
Okay.
So you just see it collapsing, but you could see the big prints. You could see, and they were in a line, straight line, and we follow them, and we could only go as far as there was a creek there, a very deep creek. So that's where it ended for us. It could have swam across and continued on, or maybe it went a different way. We don't know. But that's
right.
We could follow the prints. But it was a quarter-mile trackway.
That's awesome.
Prints, which was great. So then I decided, after 2 months, I decided, you know what, I'm going to report this to the BFRO, which is the Bigfoot Research Organization. And because I just felt like that was substantial.
Right.
All this happened within 6 or 7 hours. Finding the things and having the encounter at my car being pushed, It's like, wow, so many cool things happened this little time period. So I thought it was significant enough to report it to the BFRO. So when I did my case was assigned a investigator from the BFRO, and his name was Dr. Bob Staton. And so he contacted me. I gave him all the information, the photos, the videos. I told him exactly where I was at, and he found it. He found the exact road I was on. He measured it, because we estimated it was a quarter of a mile.
Right.
And he measured it, and it was exactly a quarter of a mile. So that was cool.
Good estimate, yeah.
Yeah. So he checked out everything that I gave him, and he's like, yeah, sounds like you had a legitimate experience. Which was great. I already knew that. And so then he turned it over to Matt Moneymaker. And so Matt Moneymaker posted it in Facebook. And because it was a, cool encounter, right? Well, but he knows about Jennings State Forest, and I didn't know anything about it. So what he says about Jennings State Forest is that it is known for having Bigfoots that like to walk around the campsites.
Ah, okay.
I was like, oh man, that's exactly what happened. And he says that's what that area is known for. There's some Bigfoots that like to go around the campgrounds, probably looking for food.
Sure. Yeah.
Just harassing people. I mean, we didn't have any food or anything stolen. So I don't know. Like I said, no food was stolen. So, okay. So he was just goofing
checking it out.
Mischievous, and just maybe it does that all the time. I don't know. But it was really cool. And then you see on the wall over there, that yellow square on the wall.
Yep.
No,
I know what that is.
The Bigfoot Times newsletter. So Daniel Perez, he reached out to me when I first reported it. And let me say below. What is that?
Chris was saying he was snoring, and the snoring drew it all in.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you couldn't hear a thing, Chris.
Sleeping
so Daniel Perez reached out to me. He's like, who found those prints? I said, I did. He's like, I want to talk to you. So he interviewed me, and our encounter made the cover of the Bigfoot Times newsletter in March 2024, which is a great honor, as a researcher to be acknowledged in that way,
Yeah.
So that was huge for us. And so
Very cool.
Yeah, the cover story. So that was cool. All that stuff. It's just been, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like I said, I'm out there all the time. My team is out there all the time, so, to have something like that happen and to get recognition for our work,
Sure. That's cool.
That's an amazing.
Now, I don't know of any other team that could make the claim going, somebody in our group is out every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty awesome that you guys can, and I know you're not going to BS that. That'd be an honest thing, which is pretty cool because I don't know of any other. I've never heard any other team trying to make that claim because most of the time they're all going out together as a group, so it has to be work schedules and family schedules and all that have to align.
Yes.
But I know some of the people on your team, and they're all great independent researchers of their own.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, you guys can do that.
Ruby and I will go out. If we can all go out, Mike and Christina will go out. But they got families and kids, so they're always having to work around kids' schedules and stuff like that. So I can go out all the time, and Ruby can go out most of the time. And so it's we work hard. We're always out there. So, but it's fun. I absolutely love it. And I don't know if you knew Justin, that I've been a paranormal investigator for over 30 years.
I saw that in your bio, but we never talked about that. We always get stuck on the Bigfoot stuff.
Yeah. So it started out with ghost hunting, and then it evolved into aliens and UFOs, and then I had some friends who were interested in Bigfoot, and I was like, I don't know. We'll see. But I would go out with them. We'd go to the Ocala National Forest.
Okay.
And so it was that vocalization that was like, oh my God, this is it.
That hooked you on it.
That's what did it for me.
Woo Riders, hey Woo, how you doing? Welcome to the show. He's got a question, or they have a question. I don't know if it's he, she, or whatnot. Do you think Bigfoot imprint on people?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And
what do you mean by imprint? Like, are we talking like when you hatch a baby animal and they say the first person it sees it imprints on, or what do you mean by imprint when you say that?
I think what they mean is they get a connection with certain people. They have a connection with certain people, and I know people who are that way. That it seems like they follow them wherever they go. The Bigfoots follow them wherever they go, or they, I know like some friends of mine, like Bigfoot Dave. I mean, he's had, I think, 5 really good, personal encounters. And most people have had none, right? He's had 5. I have friends in Oregon, that they have a family that hangs around them and is always there. And so some people have told me that they're starting to imprint on me because of the incident at my car when my car got specifically pushed. It's like, okay, like I got tagged or something. So, and I'll go out somewhere by myself and I'll come across something absolutely crazy. And like, it wasn't there when I walked in, but it's there when I walk out or whatever. For instance, we did a 1-year anniversary back at Jennings. We went back end of February, same thing, 3 days, exact same thing. We went to the same trail. We wanted to just look around, see if we could find anything else, blah, blah, blah. So, we all walked all the way down to the creek, quarter mile, right? We go all the way,
Right.
looking around, and I had to meet the BFRO investigator because he was coming out to see us and say hi. And so I walked back by myself. I'm walking down that same trail where I found the prints. I'm walking.
Right.
In 2 days, just that day, Saturday, people were walking up and down. There was like 10 of us, right? And we were doing some filming about it. And so we're walking up and down this trail like 4 to 6 times that day. So I'm walking back by myself. I'm getting ready to go meet up with Dr. Bob and pick him up, and so we can walk down to the creek together. And I look over to the left. I'm like, what the heck is that? It's this strange symbol thing. And it looks like a giant square. It's laying on the ground. So it's like what do they call it? Glyph?
The glyphs, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a square with 2 sticks straight through it, like this.
Okay.
It's like, where did this come from? And the square was broken sticks that were broken and then turned in.
Okay.
So it made a square. So fresh cuts, fresh breaks. And it was just laying there right next to the road where I found the print. It was
nice.
Right there. It was like 8 feet long. Okay. And I was like, what the heck where did this come from? We've walked past this all day long and we did not,
right.
No one.
And nobody saw it.
We didn't see it. I see it when I'm walking back by myself and I'm like, wow. And it was fresh. You could see the snaps. But yeah, they were snapped and then put together like a square, and then it had 2 sticks running right through the middle of it. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So a few people have said that they're starting to imprint on me, I'm imprinting on them, meaning we're starting to get like a connection with each other. And I want to keep that going, whether it's not, but several people have said that about
and that's a phenomenon that we do hear about, and then some people are okay with that idea. Some people think it's absolutely, crazy, but you hear about, once you've seen one, especially if you become a researcher, you tend to see more.
Mm-hmm.
They say it's almost like you said, you've been tagged,
right,
or you get the vision. I've heard it described so many different ways. Now, not everybody. You still have those people that say, I saw one once 40 years ago and I never saw one again. So that still happens, but then people would say, well, that was an accidental sighting. That wasn't something that you were supposed to see, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And we do hear that, and we can't deny there's something to it.
Yeah.
Because we do hear it, whether we understand it or not, and I know people that have come to their house like constantly, over the years.
Absolutely. I know people too. Same thing.
I know a guy in Tennessee. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but he grew up on his grandfather's. He kept calling it a farm, but the house was in the woods, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And he said, every now and then when he was a little boy, he would wake up and something would disturb him. Mm-hmm. And he'd look out his window and his grandpa would be out on the back porch talking with a Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. And, and grandpa wouldn't tell him a whole lot about it, but, it just happened a few times. And then he ended up inheriting that land. And he never had those kind of interactions, but he would send me pictures of footprints that he would find and different structures and rock stacks. And, he'd talk about hearing things and every now and then seeing one cross the property and stuff. But, he said that there was a couple times where he'd wake up and see grandpa interacting with it on the back porch, kind of a thing.
Yep.
And we hear stories like that from lots of people, not lots, but enough people that we know it happens. Mm-hmm. It's not just a one-off kind of a thing. And I don't know what to make of it, but it's there. It happens.
What I'm starting to notice, it's been, I don't know, since probably I had that encounter last year, is that what's happening now with me, and we're still talking about the imprinting, right? Being tagged or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
I'll just walk. I'll be walking in the woods and I'll just all of a sudden turn left and just go and I'll find something. And it's like, wow, how did I do that? How did I know to turn right here and walk 50 yards and come across a structure of some sort? And that has been happening a lot to me.
Okay.
Since then. So I almost feel like I'm being, I don't know, guided or something. It's really weird. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Some of my friends are like, how do you do that? Straight for 2 miles, and all of a sudden, boop, you just make a quick right-hand turn, and I find, some cool arch thing, on the ground. And it's like, how does that happen? But it's been happening. So
yeah, we don't know.
I don't know if I'm close to having a true encounter with them, a sighting, whatever, or I don't know. It's just very weird that it's just happening within the past year.
Sure. And I know a lot of people think that kind of stuff is just too far out there. I did a show a while back now about ESP and telekinetic abilities and all this kind of stuff, telepathy. And it is a scientific fact that impressions, ideas, and words can be transferred mind to mind. Mm-hmm. It's not everybody has the ability, all that kind of stuff. We can get into it. But go back and check out the show that I did on that, guys. And there's scientific research that backs up this idea that it is a possible thing. We don't understand, the mechanics behind it and how it all works, but it's been proven that it can happen. Yeah. So if we know it can happen in a laboratory, then we know it can happen outside of a laboratory in some way, shape, or form. So I don't throw any shade on anything like that happening. There's too many people giving their stories about it, and it's backed up scientifically. So, it makes sense, right? It just has to happen like that.
Yep.
I think a good example of that would be the Les Stroud story. I don't know if you ever heard with Les Stroud. Mm-hmm. He was in the Smoky Mountains with Scott Carpenter. Mm-hmm. I don't know, and Scott had left him up on a trail intentionally, and Les was making his way back in the dark. And basically, he was putting out there, hey, I'd like to hear somebody. I'd like to know if somebody's out there, because he wasn't into this whole mind speak thing at all. But he's in tune enough with nature and with his Indian studies and all that kind of stuff. So he tried it just to see, and he got a response back. And basically it was, if you want to see us, we're over here. Mm. And it showed him, he got the impression of where over here was. Mm-hmm. And he got the impression that there was 2 of them. They were both males, an adult male and a teenage male kind of a thing. But he decided, no, he wasn't ready yet. Like, he wasn't ready for that face-to-face interaction thing. And coming from somebody like Les Stroud, I mean, he's kind of a no BS kind of a guy. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to him talk about this, he went to therapists and psychologists, psychiatrists to find out if he was going crazy. Mm-hmm. And it's just, if you have somebody with that kind of chops in the world and that kind of a reputation, and he's going, I thought I was crazy, but this literally happened to me, then, you have to put some weight behind that. You have to. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, then you're just not a real researcher. You're just a skeptic and a dismissive, and you don't want to hear anything you're not comfortable with, Yep. But it happens. We get those reports.
Absolutely. I've had telepathic moments with not a Bigfoot. It was 2 different times. One was with a butterfly and one was with a squirrel. And it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy because I didn't even try. It just freaking happened. I'm like, how did I do that? You're talking to me and I heard it, but how?
Right.
You know, because I've tried to do it since then. No, you can't force it. You can't make it happen. It just happens. Right. It's happened twice to me. And
wow.
So I do know that, you know, what that's like. Of course, I want to have that with a Bigfoot or a skunk ape.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Sure. Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned the green swamp. I wanted to ask you this. The green swamp creature, monster, ape, whatever they want to call it, has a very unique look to it if you pull it up on Google, right? And so I'm going to share this and tell me what you think. Have you seen this one? Can you see that?
I've seen that picture, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Do you get reports of ones that look like that?
No. The reports are the reports around the green swamp are the typical Bigfoots. Okay.
Now, and this isn't even like a typical skunk ape, which people say is a little bit different than your typical Bigfoot further south and whatnot, a little different morphology. But that doesn't even fit into that category. I mean, if you saw this, what would you classify this as?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it's associated with, I don't know if it's a Native American artwork of a skunk ape. It's supposed to be a skunk ape, but yeah. I don't know where that came from. But the green swamp is typically the Bigfoots, the regular Bigfoots that you hear about, for sure. Now, the green swamp's got some paranormal stuff going on there. That's a strange place. I know one couple times, I think Chris was with us once, where we heard metallic knock. It was
okay.
And it's like, okay, we're in the green swamp. Why is there a metallic knock? We've heard it twice in the same area, 2 different times. Like I said, I think Chris was with us at least one of the times. And it was weird. It's like, how is there metallic? A metallic noise. What, Bigfoot's walking around with a can and a stick? I mean, how does that happen? And 2 different times we've heard it.
Right. Well, I mean, they do say that they're able to mimic sound, so possibly a mimicry issue.
And maybe, you know, they can do a really cool mouth pop that sounds metallic, you know?
Yeah.
That's what, you know, some of the people believe, that they make, you know, a popping noise with their mouth, that they're not really walking around with a stick, because there's not many people who ever see them walking around there with a stick. Some people have, but I really think it's a pop. It's a mouth pop, because that's what some of the primates do, the gorillas and stuff. Yeah. They do that. So
I think it's an opportunity thing. I think they do whatever's around, personally. If they have an option to use a branch to beat on one, that they might do that. If they don't have anything, they might do a mouth pop or a chest slap. Mm-hmm. If there's rocks, they might do the rock clacking. I think a lot of it depends on their environment, where they are at the time and what they have to use.
Yeah, down in South Florida, I had this crazy orb encounter down there. But after the encounter, I don't know, maybe half hour, 45 minutes later, heard this huge crack, and it sounded like a baseball bat cracking. And it's like, wow, what the heck was that?
Right.
But, you know, did it break a tree? You know, I don't know. I have a couple friends who can do really good mouth pops that sound exactly like knocks, like tree knocks.
Sure. Yeah.
And they're very,
that's what I'm saying.
They're very loud. They're very loud
Mhm.
too, the way they project it. So it's
Yep.
like that's a huge possibility, that they're
I
doing.
knew a guy that could make the sound of dripping water,
Oh wow.
and he would do it, and to the point where you'd look around, like even in school, the teachers would look around
Yeah.
trying to find the source of the dripping water because it sounded exactly like water dripping.
Yep. Yeah.
We know like parrots, and we know things out there can mimic sounds.
Yeah.
And Bigfoot's been reported to mimic
They
sounds.
do,
So
mimic sounds, bird sounds, barred owls, coyotes. We've heard some really strange coyote things and barred owls things. And if you've never experienced a barred owl at night in the swamp, wow. Talk about, that'll scare you.
oh yeah.
I mean, one time, Ruby and I were meeting the rest of the team. We were waiting for them in the green swamp, pitch dark. We're just kind of like wandering around in the swamp. And some barred owls are like fighting right above our head. And we were like, holy crap, what the? Oh, it scared the daylights out of us. When they start squabbling, they sound like monkeys, right? They sound
Yeah.
And they're it's like, oh my God. And it's happening right above our heads. And yeah, that woke us up. So yeah, we do believe that they can mimic sounds for sure, because we've heard some really strange stuff out there.
Sure.
So
Yep.
we've had right after the thing with what I just told you about with Ruby, right, with the barred owl. So the rest of the team gets there, and we're sitting in this one particular little intersection. We're sitting in a circle. Each of us had night vision thermal cameras. Okay. So we're just looking around. I had some little paranormal equipment out. And I was like, because I used to be a ghost hunter. So I was like, okay, if there's anybody here with us, let me know, touch me, do something. We'd love to know you're here. And so I had some of those little cat balls that light up if you touch them.
Oh yes.
They light up.
Yes. I've used those.
So it started going off, right? And so I'm like, okay, if somebody's here, touch me, do something. Well, Ruby said that something pulled her hair out.
Okay.
And then she felt something blow on her lip, like blew on her lip. Now, me, one of the team members took a night vision picture of me with someone behind me looking over my shoulder. It kind of looked like a young Civil War guy. And I do have a picture of it. And then when the film, because we filmed the whole thing, we're watching the film, and something threw something at us. Something goes flying across the screen, and it looked like either a stick or a bone.
Okay.
And you can hear it. It goes flying across the screen. It hits a backpack. You hear it thunk, and then you can hear it thunk. It hits the ground. So it's like, what? Something threw something at us? What the heck is
you guys
this?
didn't even realize it.
Yeah. And it seemed small.
Huh.
And so we left. I went back the following week because I wanted to try to find what it was that was thrown at us. So I'm looking for a bone. I'm looking for anything weird. And I did find a stick about this long that was light colored. Like a beige colored.
Mm-hmm.
And so I threw it against the backpack, and it made the exact same sound. So now I'm like, okay, how close does something have to be to throw something that little at us?
Right.
10 feet away? 15 feet away? But
it's
nothing. We saw absolutely nothing on our thermals or night vision. Zero. So
it's hard to say because who is it? Christopher Noel Noel, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He's done a lot of research, and he has videos of things being thrown at him.
Mm-hmm.
And from where he believes they are, you're talking a huge distance. 50 to 100 yards away from them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're chucking like pine cones and acorns, and they're landing right next to them.
Mm-hmm.
So like who can say what the distance is? We just don't know what they're capable of. Or, that being said, you said it was at nighttime. They could have been just off the trail somehow, and you never saw them.
Yeah, but we had all our thermals and night vision cameras going.
Sure.
We didn't see anything, nothing, zero.
We do know in heavy brush, both of those things are a little limited.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just weird that it would happen that way, But again, that's one of those things that happens frequently.
Yeah,
stuff comes flying out of nowhere.
3 inches. 3 inches,
Yep.
little tiny stick. And I kept it. I use it as my good luck charm. And but yeah, it's light. It's like less than an ounce or whatever. It's like you have to be super close to throw that at us
with any kind of force. Yeah, definitely. That makes sense.
Yeah, and we had no clue that had actually happened. So that was pretty cool. But it's a strange. Green Swamp's got some paranormal stuff going on there as well, which is cool. But, it's a good place.
I'm hoping to get out and do more stuff. Like I talked about with you at the conference last weekend. I'm going to turn my vehicle into a car camper.
Yep.
And hopefully I can start getting out, because there's plenty of places where even though I'm limited in what I can do physically, I can still pull up on a road in the middle of the woods somewhere.
Right.
And just listen, build a campfire, fry some bacon, whatever I can do to kind of draw them in.
Right.
And just kind of be out there a little more. So that is definitely my goal going forward here as I can.
Yeah.
I definitely won't be doing any Florida camping now with the way this weather is.
No.
But that is definitely my goal to do a little more than that.
Yeah, we've come to the end of the camping season here in Florida. I mean, today it was almost 90 degrees, which is miserable. But,
it was a little bit cooler down here. And we had a good stiff breeze going, so it wasn't horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Last weekend down here, we were in the mid 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Heat index was like 96, 97 for our heat index.
That's too much.
So
too hot.
That is too much. I'm just melting down here. It's horrible.
It is horrible. It is horrible.
I've got a room air conditioner in the room that I'm in, plus the house air conditioner, plus I got 2 or 3 fans going.
Yep.
All at once, just to try and not melt.
I know. I'm the same here. That's for sure. But
part of that's my medication too, because some of my medication I overheat as soon as I get a little bit of hot going on.
Yes.
My body overheats, which sucks. It's horrible.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to wrap it up. Where can people find you, get a hold of you, watch your videos? Where can they track you down?
Sure. So on Facebook, my group is Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group. And I run a very tight ship, so I'm very selective on who can join. I don't want trolls in there because I want people to be able to collaborate without having a problem with people.
Right.
So everything in my group runs basically smoothly, so it's really good. I'm also on Instagram, Mid-Florida Bigfoot, and YouTube, Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group. You can find there. And what's cool about that is I haven't posted in a while, but my videos are very short. They're like 1 to 3 minutes long. That's it. I'm not walking through the woods talking about how wonderful I am or anything. I'm there to show you specifically something.
Right.
So it's like, look, I'm here in the Ocala National Forest and I just found this. Look at this, So it's just straight to the point, short little videos. You can see the stuff that we have found, like the Jennings trackway. You could see us when we were measuring it and casting the prints and stuff, things like that. I also have a website, My website is midfloridabigfoot.com, and there you can look at the research gallery. We've got some great pictures of the things that we have found, including that square structure thing I was talking about. That's there.
Okay.
And of course, I have a section that is media and press, and that's where all the publications that we have been in, the podcasts we've been on, or the documentaries we've been in. I share it all there. I also have a blog. I also have a blog there with some information, helpful stuff, some information about Florida. So that's how you can reach us. There's a tab that says contact us. So, if you want to send me an email, you can go there. So you got the website, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So
nice. And I want to put out there too, if you ever see that they're at a conference, guys, definitely go check them out. They have a great table set up. They got some awesome tracks. A lot of the tracks are the ones that they personally found, and they're happy to talk to you about them. We had a conversation about some tracks and different ideas that we had on why they are what they are, kind of a thing.
Right.
That's a whole other show. But definitely go and check them out if you see them, guys. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we'll leave with that one. As far as a little bit of maintenance here real quick, guys, I will not be doing a show next week. I will be traveling. I'm going to Tennessee, and I'm picking up my fiance Jennifer, and we're going to go down to North Carolina for Easter. So definitely next week I will not be doing a show. Depending on when I get back from that, we might have a show the week after Easter. But what I'm looking at doing, I've had a lot of people asking, I'm going to talk about the news. So we've had a couple of different things happening in the news league that's interested some of our viewers. The pyramid thing. Marie, I don't know if you saw the pyramid thing where they scanned underneath the pyramid and apparently found some unusual structures. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to dig into that and to see what they really found. Did it really have all these chambers, or was it, that kind of thing? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the big thing in the news right now is the dire wolf thing. And we'll talk about that and get my take on that. So that'll be our next show. Maybe not next week, but the week after. So that being said, with everybody, I appreciate you joining us. Everybody that joined us live, we had a great audience tonight. Great questions and everything. We appreciate you having you. David Rossi saying this show's been great. Thank you, Marie, for sharing your experiences, encounters, and research. Thank you, Justin. It's been fantastic. Have a fantastic Easter. You too, David. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
As we like to say around here, guys, from coast to coast and around the world, y'all have a fantastic night, and we will catch you next time on the show. Keep an eye out for our times. They change a little bit. So we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. No, I'm out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just going to sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!